I am live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lee Elias. I'd like to welcome you to Puck Drop Live. I still have not gotten that down yet. As always, as you know, when it comes to a live video, it usually takes a few minutes for people to come on. So what I'm looking for right now is just a comment to say, hey, I can see you. Caitlin Elizabeth, right on the mark, says, hey, I can see you. That's wonderful. Tonight's topic is going to be an interesting one. I'm hoping we're going to get some people on tonight. I got a lot of people coming in here. Because tonight we're talking about how in the hell Pittsburgh Penguins were ranked in the top of the NHL for passionate sports fans. Does say in 2020, and they made the only NHL team to make the top 10 in a Forbes article. So I can see a lot of people coming in. We must have some anticipation for this topic today. I've got a lot of stuff set up. I got a lot of research here for you. I'm already recording for the podcast. I've got, if you could see my desktop, it is a flurry of notes. Just a flurry of notes. Mark Pollard from Australia. Good morning, sir. It is tomorrow there. More powder on the forehead. My head is. I'm hot with this topic tonight. All right, that's what I'm going to tell you, guys. Do I sound okay? That's the other thing. I always want to make sure we're trying to make these things a little more professional. That's what this is for at the bottom. But do I sound okay? Am I coming through? This is a test. Syllabus. Again, we got more viewers coming in. I appreciate you being here, because tonight we're talking about the Penguins. We're going to talk about this situation as I drink my tea. All right, so just let me know if the audio is coming through okay, please. I want to know what it sounds like. Ray Carcillo, you're signed in as We Live Hockey, buddy. All right. Everybody says the audio sounds good. I'm probably going to... There it is. Hey, Ray. New graphics. Yeah, we've had these last week, too, but you weren't here because you were sleeping. But I'm going to let it slide. You definitely needed a nap last week. It's okay. As long as you're not sleeping when we're doing our other show. All right, so tonight's topic, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be all about fans in the NHL, fan bases in the NHL. Again, I have a ton of notes here. I'm not going to lie. This is the first topic I've done where I'm not going to be so nice. I'll put it that way. I will tell you this. This isn't going to be like a tirade on the Penguins, though. So if you're coming here hoping for me to rip the Penguins apart, I'm going to do that a little bit, but that's not going to be the intention here, okay? So I want you to follow along. I want you to comment on this, okay? Because there's going to be a lot of information here to comment on tonight. And I will try and read all of them, okay? Because there's just no way I'm going to let this go. I hope there are Penguins fans on here. I really mean that. It's not because I want you to feel bad. I want both sides of this, right? I'm all about that gray area and having those conversations. So here we go. I'm going to start. And you know how I have to do this. I have to stop for a quick second and start this over. I hope you're ready for this episode. According to Forbes magazine, among the top 10 most passionate sports fans in 2020, only one NHL team made the top 10 list. That NHL team is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let that settle in for a minute. Now listen, whether you're a Pittsburgh Penguins fan or not, we should have qualms with this. We should have thoughts on this. So what I want to do tonight on the podcast, or if you're watching live on Facebook with We Live Hockey, Hockey Wraparound, Elimination Cafe, and now HockeyRewards.com, you should check that out if you haven't already, is discuss this, dive into it. Let me tell you the factors that went into this decision. I want to take a really good look at this and discuss whether or not it's fair or right or whatever. Because I don't want to be just one of those fans that are like, oh, I hate this team because they suck and they beat my team a lot. And I don't like Sidney Crosby because he cries a lot, but he's the best player in the NHL. I'm not looking for that stuff, okay? I like fact-driven opinions, and my job tonight is to be factual in proving that they are not the top NHL fan base, and also talking about fan bases in general, because I don't think they're the worst fan base by any means. Okay, we can take an objective look at this, maybe a subjective look at this. Let me know your thoughts. I'm already getting comments, and the comments are, check this out. Let's go Pens. Pens suck. They should suck. Let's go Pens. This is going to be a good episode. Okay, so let's take a look real quick. This article in Forbes, I'm looking at it right now. I brought it up. I made sure I read this. I want it to be fair. You have to keep in mind a few things. Number one, Forbes is a business, marketing, and financial magazine. Okay, so the factors that they put into this thing are absolutely going to be based on money and the size of a fan base and jersey sales, which we'll talk about if that's a factor or not in a minute. Okay, and I'm going to read you the top 10 because I think it's only fair. I want to keep this in perspective because I think, to be fair, and I want you all to comment on this, but Ray Carsillo, I want you specifically to comment on this because Ray is my co-host at Geeks Who Like Sports, and we talk about this stuff all the time. All right, I think 8 out of the 10 are correct. I think with that said, it would be very fair to say there's like 15 teams that could be in this top 10. All right, the Pittsburgh Penguins are not one of them. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to read you this one sentence. This is how they came to these conclusions. I'm really excited about this episode. If you can't tell. All right, I've been locked in my house for 60 days, and I am very ready to let off some steam. Okay, so here we go. Okay, twitchy tonight. All right, so this is what the article says. Measuring passion is a tricky thing. Yeah, no crap. Crazy certainly helps, but Pope hats, golden black death paint, and gladiator get-ups aren't the reason New Orleans Saints fans rank third on our list. We look at more concrete evidence. Now, this is according to them, including television ratings, game attendance, merchandise sales, and social media reach. We evaluated every one of North America's 123 professional teams in the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, and MLB, which means this was an international list. I was actually hoping that Canada was not included in this because all 7 Canadian teams would be in the top 10 of NHL fan bases, and no one should argue that. All 7 of them. Okay? Maybe not Ottawa. But Ottawa fans, you're pretty passionate, okay? The last part it says here is one takeaway. NFL fans are the most devoted, with fans of the league's 32 teams grabbing 6 of the top 10 spots. I don't necessarily disagree with that. The most blasé, hockey and baseball fans, each with only one franchise represented. And it's not the baseball franchise you think it's going to be. Whew. Okay, here we go. Number 1, I actually completely agree with this. All right? The number 1 team on Forbes' list, it makes 100% sense. It is the Green Bay Packers. It makes 100% sense. The team is owned by the fans mostly. I mean, you can't trump that, okay? Team owner. This is what I love. It says team owner. 361,169 fans and shareholders. You're not going to beat that. The team's also worth $2.85 billion, all right? And they have 7.5 million social media followers. I'm just telling you what the article says. Sellouts every games, 13 championships, well-known history. Cheeseheads. I mean, it just totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. I don't disagree with that. Number 2. Again, I might not put these at number 2, but number 2, New England Patriots. Okay, worth $6.9 billion. All right, have a lot more followers than Green Bay, but look, recent history with this team, this kind of makes sense. Okay, like definitely a top 10 team. No one's gonna tell me I'm wrong with that. All right. Number 3, New Orleans Saints. Again, totally agree. These people are crazy at the games. They support this team. Probably the only team on the list whose fans lived in the stadium during a natural disaster. All right, like this fan base lives for that team. Again, might not be my number 3, but it's definitely a top 10 team. Moving on to number 4, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, I don't have a problem with Pittsburgh Steelers being on the list. Okay. They have 3 owners. They're worth $2.8 billion, almost 10 million social media followers, 6 championships. It's a proud franchise. They've had fans for a long time. Just don't disagree with that. Another Pittsburgh team. Number 5, Philadelphia Eagles. This is where it gets rough because I'm obviously a massive Philadelphia Eagles fan. I don't disagree with any of the teams from Philadelphia being on this list, but the Eagles, especially now recently, but really forever. They've always had fans, okay? It's a team that's always had fans. You got 4 championships, 1 Super Bowl, 3 NFL championships before the Super Bowl. Was bred on this team. I don't want to spend too much time on them because that's a whole nother episode. I will tell you what it says there. It says, it takes a special breed of fan to merit 2 Hollywood movies, both of them blockbusters. Name them in the chat. Name both the Eagles movies in the chat. The throng has made this franchise the most popular in Philadelphia, besting the Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers. Absolutely true. The city bleeds green and orange and black and red, but mostly green. We got a guy with a tattoo of the Fanatic on his chest, and he's at all the sports. So, totally agree with that. Number 6, this is where it starts to get like, okay, I don't know if this is top 10. Seattle Seahawks. Okay, I'd put them top 20. I don't know if I'd put them top 10. Okay, massive amounts of years where there's not a fan base there. Okay, keep going here. Number 7, totally makes sense. Golden State Warriors, right? Have to be on the list, especially in recent years. One of the most dominant teams in NBA history. again, you couldn't give their merchandise away a decade ago, all right? But in recent years, absolutely. Although I don't know if I was doing an all-time list, if they'd be here, okay? Next one, Oklahoma City Thunder. This is the one I was like, I don't know about that, all right? So Oklahoma City Thunder, again, it's pretty cool what they've done after, Russell Westbrook left. Again, I don't want to get too much into other sports tonight. They have one championship technically as the Supersonics from Seattle, another Seattle team. But yeah, history is not on their side with this, but they are a passionate base. They keep them going. It's cool to see basketball succeed. Number 9, the Pittsburgh Penguins. 2 owners, Ron Burkle and Mary Lemieux. Team value $665 million. Social media following 3.9 million. Average attendance is a sellout crowd, 18,537. 5 Stanley Cup championships. It says here the NHL's only team in the top 10 can thank All-Star Sidney Crosby, because there's no other players there, whose jersey has been a hot item since his 2005 debut. 2 Stanley Cups in the last 5 years help, as do 12 sellout seasons at PPG Paints Arena. I will talk about those sellout crowds in a moment. Then number 10 is the only baseball team on the list. Ray, brace yourself. It's the Boston Red Sox. Team value $3.3 billion, owned by John Henry and Thomas Werner. 7.3 million social media followers. 9 championships. Average attendance 36,106. It says it took 86 years to shed the curse of the Bambino and win a World Series, which happened a long time ago now. But the Red Sox Nation has proved even more loyal than Pats fans, with almost 80% of locals identifying as fans. So if they're more loyal than Pats fans, why are the Pats number 2 and this team is number 10? You just flawed your own article, Forbes. Okay. Now let's get to the thing at hand. I just wanted to give you the scale of what we're dealing with here. I wanted you to understand the way the list was done. Now, again, I'm going to reiterate this. Forbes is a business financial magazine. So it makes sense to me that they're using some business financial things to make their decisions. That is not how I quantify or qualify a fan base as being passionate. I think that in itself, I think that most passionate sports fans should not be in the name of the article. It could be most successful sports franchises right now. All right? But passionate sports fans, I half believe they wrote this article just to get a rise out of people, sensible people that love their game, that wouldn't get a rise out of them naturally. But, okay, that's the article, all right? I'm going to take a quick look at some of your comments here. Ray says the Thunder don't belong on the list. I agree with that. Josh Roth says the movie, one of the 2 Eagles movies, is Invincible, starring Marky Mark. Not sure about the other Eagles movie. Let me know if it is. That is correct. Invincible is one of those movies. You might have to look it on IMDb. Little known fact, the Eagles mascot did appear in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, when they got destroyed by the Dolphins and Ace. Ray makes a great point. The Penguins almost moved to Kansas City. I will read the rest of his comment in a minute. Ray says, don't disagree with Red Sox fans are passionate, but ahead of the Cubs and the Yankees fans. Again, this is a hockey show, so I can't dive into that, but I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that 100%. That, the Red Sox almost don't exist without the Yankees in a lot of ways. If you live outside of New York, Ray, that's true. People in New York and in Boston, apparently there's no other places in the world. All right. So here's where we're going to go now. I want to dive into kind of my thoughts on this, and this is where I definitely want you guys to chime in, okay? Because these are my thoughts. You are absolutely allowed to disagree with me on everything that I'm about to say, but you know how I am. I try and take a really sensible approach to these things, and at the end of the day, I'm saying this now, at the end of the day, the hockey fan is awesome. The hockey fan is passionate. Okay, hockey fans are some of the most passionate sports fans in the world. We know this because we're often compared with soccer fans in Europe. And having lived in Europe, the hockey fans were just as passionate there. This is not a shot at the fans of the other sports. Okay, but there's that great quote I always use: hockey's not something you do, it's something you are. All right, I'm very passionate about my football team and my baseball team and my basketball team, but for me, hockey is at just a completely different level. I don't know how else to describe it. Obviously, this audience is going to understand that. Okay, so I wrote 2 things here: what makes a great fan base and what does not make a great fan base. And I'm going to apply this to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, here's the deal. Before I even get going here, my goal tonight is not to rip the Penguins. Okay, I will be doing that a little bit, but that's not my goal. All right. My goal is to really discover here what makes hockey fans so great and why we're the best fan base really in all of sports when it really comes down to it. All right. And again, these are my thoughts. So please feel free to disagree with me if you do. But I got to tell you that the Penguins on this list is really insulting. In fact, we asked this question on Quick Shift today, and Penguins fans came out to disagree with the article, which I thought was noble as hell. I couldn't believe it. Okay. My run-in with Penguins fans. Now, listen, I know I'm a Philadelphia fan, so allow me to defend myself with that too. I have not seen the best of Pittsburgh fans naturally, okay? Typically, when a Pittsburgh Penguin fan comes on to speak to me, I get a lot of cursing. I get a lot of people telling me how much I suck, how great they are, and it's just never a good conversation. Now, with that said, I know there are good Pittsburgh fans out there, all right? And I know they've existed. I know there's been fans of that team since 1967, okay? There's just been more since 2005. Anyway, what makes a great fan base? Number one, history. Okay? You have to have had a really rich history. So, for example, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, they've got a great fan base, but they're not a top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fan base yet because they don't have the history. Okay? I think this plays a vital role into it. It's an up-and-coming team. You wouldn't look at a brand-new team that's never won a Stanley Cup and say, that's the best. You'd say, wow, they're really showing potential. Same thing with players. If a guy has a hot rookie season, he's not the greatest player you've ever had in your team. Okay? It's just the way it is. So, history, okay? Penguins, to their credit, have a rich history. They are part of the next six. They came into the league in 1967. Didn't really do anything until the late 80s, okay? Which is a long time to wait. But I'll tell you what, they stayed there. Their fans stayed there. When they won their cups in 91, 92, obviously that exploded the fan base. I'll get to the rest of the history in a minute. Because the next thing on my list is loyalty. Loyalty is a major part of a fan base. When you look at the greatest teams in sports, and I'm not talking about winning, their fans are there, win, lose, draw. Okay? Win, lose, draw. I have seen the worst Philadelphia Flyers season in history. I was alive for it. Fans still went to the games. We still talked about the team. Okay? I have seen pain in Philadelphia, having not won any major championships until I was 26 or 27 years old, and having to watch every team in New Jersey and New York win around me while I was up there. Okay? Philadelphia fans know pain. All right? With that said, Buffalo Sabres fans, no pain. Up until last year, St. Louis fans, new pain. I can keep going here. Chicago, for a long time, felt pain in hockey. Not letting you slide with basketball. You kind of had something going there. Okay? Next thing, passion. Okay? Now listen, all 32 teams, including Seattle, have passionate fans. The question is, how large are your numbers? Okay? I can tell you this right now. Philadelphia fans are egregious. They have no problem telling you where to stick it. They are at times way too much. They're way too extra. I'm from here. I can admit that. Okay? But we are maybe the most passionate fan base in the league here in Philadelphia. I'm not saying there's other teams that aren't close. The Boston Bruins fans are like that. The Rangers fans are like that. The Buffalo Sabres fans are actually like that. Okay? From a northeastern perspective. All right? When you look at teams across the nation, this changes. Again, I'll give you a team from another sport real quick. Okay? Dallas Cowboys. This is what I always say about Dallas Cowboys fans. With the rare exception, Dallas Cowboys fans from Dallas are usually pretty good people, pretty awesome people, and they're very nice to be around. Dallas Cowboys fans from outside of Dallas, horrible. Just horrible. Okay? They can't stop talking about the team and how great it was 25 years ago. Yeah, I mean that. Okay? And again, most teams are guilty of that. All right? So I believe that in Pittsburgh there are passionate, loyal, historical hockey fans. I do believe that. And I think they are the great fans of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't think most of the fans of that team showed up until 2006. Okay? I'm not knocking that, but I'll get to it. The last thing is integrity. All right? And integrity to me is not exactly how you treat other fans, but how your organization treats everybody. Okay? And what I mean by that is I actually think the Pittsburgh Penguins have great integrity as an organization, okay, now, all right? In terms of they've been here since they started. I think they do a lot for their community. I think their true fans do a lot for their community when they're not yapping, okay? To call them number one, let's just go through this. They have the history. They have the loyalty now that they're winning. They did not have that loyalty when they were losing. They did not. That team was days away from leaving Pittsburgh because fans would not go to the games because they were struggling. And I'm sorry, that is just not good enough. That is not good enough to be named a top 15 team. Now, as soon as they drafted Sidney Crosby, who is the best player in the world, they started coming back. And when they won cups, all of a sudden, I have never seen that many bandwagon fans come out of the woodwork before in my life. I have never forgotten that. I look at a team like the New Jersey Devils, who have a very small fan base and live in the literal shadow of the Rangers, but their fans are super dedicated. Super dedicated. There's not many of them. They're also not a top 15 fan base in the league. Okay? When I look at Pittsburgh and I see these people show up, this is what I have to say to you. And again, this is where I'm saying you can disagree with me. And I know I'm being a little more aggressive than normal. When Crosby retires and Malkin moves on, all right, and you're not winning, you better show up. If you want to be called one of the best franchises in sports, you better show up. It's through thick and thin with sports. In terms of a fan base. Okay, I'm not saying, I'm not saying you got to suffer. But I'm saying if you're going to be a fan, be a fan. When the Flyers, Eagles, Sixers, or Phillies aren't doing good, I still wear my hats. Still wear my T-shirts. I support the team. Let's talk about real quick what does not make a great fan base. Now, this is probably where I'm going to surprise some of you. Here's what does not make a great fan base. Only supporting the team when it's good or popular. Okay? That makes you a fan. You're called a fair weather fan. And I have no problem with people that admit that. I have no problem with anybody who says, I didn't really watch the Penguins before 2006, but they're really great. I liked them since then. That's totally fair. I get it. All right? I totally get it. Or the other one that's acceptable to me is, hey, I was born in 2000. This is all I've ever known. Sure, I get that. There's nothing wrong with that. All right? I don't have a problem with kids that grow up loving a team that was really good. I mean, that's how fans are made. All right? I feel more for the people that went through the dark years with that team. But you know what I'm saying. All right? That's number one. Only supporting the team when it's good. It does not make you a great fan base. It makes you a fan. Vulgarity towards other fans. Now, this is something that my city is super guilty of. All right? I would make the argument we're not as vulgar as other people think we are and that there's a target on our back and everybody thinks Philadelphia is like that. And we are a tough city, but every city has got crazies in it, okay? We might have a few more than other cities, but it's passion. I have said many times, nobody hates Philadelphia more than Philadelphians. That's why we're kind of passionate. You can't hate on our teams more than we can. It reminds me when Gritty was created, and everyone was hating. Everybody in Philadelphia saw Gritty, and we're like, what is this thing? We don't want this thing. And then the Penguins, of all teams, went, oh, that's a stupid mascot. And then all of a sudden, Philadelphia did one of the, what did you just say? And he was a national hero. Rated the number one mascot in the NHL today. All right, next thing is breaking TVs when you lose, okay? So here's the deal. This kind of harks back to the passion of what makes a great fan base. I don't think people that get super upset and cry or shout or break things or throw things, I don't think that makes you a great fan. I don't. I think that makes you overly emotional, all right? A great fan to me has nothing to do with how much emotion you output. It doesn't mean if you output emotion, you're a bad fan, okay? I just don't think that qualifies you for being a great fan base. How mad you get when they lose. How many people show up when you win, right? People just should be showing up, right? So that's one of those things of like, I think what makes a great fan is the love of the game, love of the team, and again, the thick and thin. It's a family, right? That's what a fan base kind of is. I don't think breaking things helps you out. Here's another one I don't think makes you a great fan base. Jersey sales. I can't believe they even put that in the article, right? Jersey sales. So you're telling me everyone that buys a Crosby jersey is a Pittsburgh Penguins fan now? You know how many people? I mean, we have the Jagers are a great example. These guys who travel around supporting Jager. When I moved to Europe for a while, I was actually astonished at how people rooted for players on teams and not teams themselves sometimes, especially in the NHL. Anybody I knew from the Czech Republic was a fan of whatever team Jager was on. We would call that fair weather here. But they love that man so much, whatever teams he's on. I've seen Russians root for Russian players on Russian teams. That's why the Red Wings have a lot of fans in Russia. I need a tea break. Hold on. Yes, I said tea. Okay? Going to read some of your comments in a minute here. Okay? At the end of the day, I want to say this again. All right? I have a lot of respect for the Pittsburgh Penguins organization and what they've accomplished over the last 15 years. I have a lot of respect for Sidney Crosby as a player and many of the other players on that team. I have a lot of respect that Marc-Andre Fleury, when he was there, was the bane of my existence, but you can't not like the guy. I have respect they have 5 Stanley Cup championships. That is 3 more than the Flyers. I get it. All right, I can sit here and tell you that. I respect the team. When it comes to their fan base, I have not seen enough from them to dictate them as a top 10 sports franchise fan base, much less a top 10 NHL fan base. They might be in that conversation. Okay? But I'm going to say this again. If you are serious about this type of stuff, number one, the Toronto Maple Leafs are the number 1 fan base in the NHL if you're going to talk about history, loyalty, passion, and integrity. They have not won a Stanley Cup since 1967. All right? I believe. I might be wrong. Maybe it's 69. I don't remember. It's a long time. They sell out every game. They know pain. They are trying everything they can to win and failing every year, including losing to a Zamboni driver this year. All right? That's a fan base. Montreal Canadiens. They are a fan base. All right? They have suffered with that team. They have cultural significance behind their team. All right? Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Ottawa. I could go on. All right? Those are unbelievable hockey fan bases. You come down to the States, a lot of people like to rip Chicago. Here's the thing. Chicago was an organization I didn't respect, but their fans I did. They had one of the worst situations in the history of sports when it came to broadcast television and the way their owner was running their team. And they turned it around. Those fans came back. Right? They never left. Chicago's got a great fan base. New York Rangers have an amazing fan base. I worked there. I'm telling you that. I'm a Flyers fan. I'm telling you they have an amazing fan base. Okay? The truth is this. Most NHL teams have a pretty awesome fan base. To make the top 10, I'm sorry. Pittsburgh does not get on that list for me. They're definitely top 15. I will say that today. Okay? But I'll never forget that they almost moved because no one would go to Penguins games. I'll never forget that. All right? And you're lucky that they did so bad. So you got Crosby. When you were in the late 80s, you got Lemieux. You got Jagr. You got Trottier. You got, I could keep going here. How many amazing players they had on that team. How does a team that had Lemieux and Jagr and Trottier and Steve, I mean, it could go on here. How does that team lose fans within 10 years? How does that happen? How do you drop a team like that? How can you do that? I am blown away by that. I don't usually talk about fandom. I really don't. Because, hockey, my roots in hockey are they go deeper than fandom, and that's not an insult. That's just, you guys know I work in the game. How do you drop a team like that? The Phoenix/Arizona Coyotes survive. You want to know a team that's like at the bottom of the list that's similar? The Florida Panthers. Can't get people to their games, yet they're still down there somehow. How does that happen? All right, let's move on to some of your comments before I implode. All right, I'm going back up on the list here. Again, for those of you listening to the podcast, this is a live stream on Facebook that I'm recording the audio of, so I'm going to be reading the comments. As we're halfway through, let's just quickly shout out our new site, hockeyrewards.com. There's like a PSA in the middle of the episode. For those of you who haven't heard, we're giving away stuff. Just lots of stuff for free. All you have to do is go to hockeyrewards.com. In fact, I have this fancy thing here. Look at the bottom. Oh, there it is at the bottom now, hockeyrewards.com. I have this fancy Hockey Rewards thing down here, hockeyrewards.com. We're giving away a hockey wraparound every single day, other prizes. Just go check it out. And the big prize right now is the Hockey Never Stops jersey, which is a major salute to first-line responders and people on the front lines fighting COVID-19, and to you that are quarantined, staying at home, the family. And we are donating 100% of the profits. 100. I will see no money from this thing. I wouldn't want it. To the Penalty Box Foundation funds that go towards COVID-19 relief. Penalty Box Foundation, run by Drew Lane, just to give you an idea of the integrity of that organization. That dude drove around Massachusetts for a hours, double-digit hours, delivering masks to local healthcare workers and hospitals to protect their faces that were made by Sparks. So totally happy to support that organization. HockeyRewards.com, your local place for hockey prizes. Again, completely free and very upfront. Now check this out. Ready? Boom. Gone off the screen. Okay, getting back to this. Let's read some of your comments. Never would have made it on QVC. All right. Going up here, talking about lots of teams, lots of Ray Carcello comments, which I always look forward to, and the rest of you as well. All right, so Ray Carcello said maybe not Ottawa. Yeah, Ottawa's had a tough go as the capital of Canada, but we don't know. We'll see. Here we go. I'm trying to get past the football comments now. Here we go. All right. The true test of Vegas will be when the team sucks, which at some points all teams do. See, that's a good point. They haven't had a chance to be bad yet, right? They've always been above average. So we'll see what happens. Now personally, if I had to guess, I would say that Vegas fans are going to be there. I mean, they will have probably all four major sports within the next 10 years in that city. And I think it's awesome. I think Vegas has been a great sports city. I actually wish them the best of the luck with the Raiders this season. Ray Carcillo says about the Bulls in the 90s that Chicago suffered forever. They suffered as the Bulls, but the Bears in the 80s were good. The Blackhawks were actually very good in the 60s. So it's like it's one of those things. They had tough years. Okay, I'll give you that. The Cubs and the White Sox, the Cubs fans have suffered a lot. So let's keep going here. All right, got a lot of baseball talk. So about St. Louis, again, they were stabbed in the heart in multiple ways. Ray was saying here they won a Super Bowl and then the team left. I mean, there's just St. Louis knows pain. Okay, I would put the Blues up there as any top 10 franchise in hockey. All right, here we go. Pittsburgh Penguins fan, Sam Geis. I hope I said your name right. I've been a Penguins fan since I could remember. My dad is from Altoona, Pennsylvania, and love everything Pittsburgh, so it's drilled in my mind to root for anything black and gold. Okay, see, that sounds like a real fan to me, born and raised Pittsburgh. So, Sam, this is what I would ask you. If you're comfortable, how old are you? How long have you been a Pittsburgh Penguins fan? And how do you feel about some of the things that I said? How do you feel about what I talked about? There's no fans there, or they could not get people to the games. I want to know Pittsburgh Penguins fans. I want to know your thoughts on that, like your honest thoughts. Because here's the thing. The Penguins fans that commented today said that was not okay. It was despicable. Josh Roth says, I'm an Avs fan from St. Louis. Blues fans were ready for Cardinals baseball from Christmas, though, last March. Don't let them fool you. But see, that's okay, though, okay? Like this is what we say in Philadelphia. I always joke. When the Flyers end, I always say, yep, it's baseball season. The Eagles say, it's hockey season. I mean, we love our teams here. I don't think rooting for the next team in line is a bad thing. If you root for a team over another team or you let a team go wayside, that's where it gets a little fishy for me. Okay, but I don't think there's anything wrong. I mean, and especially when it comes to baseball in St. Louis, that's completely understandable. I mean, after the Yankees, there's the Cardinals. You know what I mean? Like, in my mind, okay? And the Red Sox are kind of up there, too. But after the Yankees, the Cardinals, if there was no Yankees, the Cardinals would be the Yankees, is what I'm trying to say. All right? Andrew Williams says that people in Arizona hate Cowboys fans, too, that are not from Dallas, for sure. Bubba Bryant says, hey, Lee. Hello, Bubba. Thank you for coming on tonight. Andrew Williams, the same thing happened in Chicago as soon as they drafted Taves and Kane and won cups. They had fans come out of the woodwork. Now, again, Andrew, this is true, but the problem I have with that statement is this, is that they had a ton of fans. The organization was driving them out, okay? And it's not because they were bad. I mean, the old owner of that team, we're talking in the 2000s, did not have games broadcasted on television, home games. If you can believe that. That is unheard of at that time period because he wanted to bring people to the games. And guess what? It didn't work. Okay, that's not how you get a loyal fan base. Two-way interaction, and I literally wrote a book about this. Two-way interaction between the sports teams and the fans is very important. Very important. That's one of the things Lemieux did so well when he rebuilt the Penguins. All right? Josh Roth says the Scott Trade Center, which is also known as the Enterprise Center now, was a ghost town in 2006 or 2008. You could get into Blues games for nothing. Now, Josh, does that mean no one was showing up? Because now this is another question. The Blues are a team that was very much like the Penguins, in which they were very successful. They had 22 years of straight playoff appearances. It was an incredible run of how many playoff years they got in a row. And then they were bad for a few years, and then they won the Stanley Cup. So you have to let me know. I don't live in St. Louis. Bubba Bryant says, still Wings fan, was a North Star fan until they moved to Dallas. Red Wings fans are another good example. They're showing up to games right now. Team is horrendous. actually one of the worst teams in league history. They're still getting fans to the games. Ray says New York City is very vulgar too sometimes. Ray, I don't agree with you. It's not sometimes. It's all the time. Andrew Williams, I hate bandwagon fans, but my Coyotes need them right now to survive. But I have gone through the dark years with my Yotes, but we need bandwagon fans right now. Well, okay, look, again, I don't have a problem with bandwagon fans as long as they're willing to admit that they're bandwagon fans. Okay, I don't have a problem with any fan, to be perfectly fair. Okay, just be what you are. Okay, don't tell me my organization sucks if you've liked your team for 5 years or 1 year. I think that's so lame. Okay, if a Penguins fan wants to tell me my organization sucks, bring it on, right? We're from the same state, doesn't really matter, but you better have liked that team your whole life. I better not find out that you were rooting for another team that you switched when they started winning. You will never win an argument with me with that kind of logic. All right? Didn't Philly fans throw batteries? We did at J.D. Drew. We threw him hard at him. We also threw snowballs at Santa. And, if you believe everything you read, we also, kill people and, rip shirts off people and stuff like that. Yeah, we did. Look, again, we also threw glowing bands on the ice at the memorial for our owner. It's passion. It's all passion. It's not right all the time. Every sports team has crazies, okay? But you are not going to rival the passion of the fans in Philadelphia, okay? You can only match it. It cannot be beaten. I'll say that right now. And some teams do match it, okay? Josh Roth, I can't go to an Avs game in St. Louis without getting bashed because of Stan Kroenke. Newsflash, we don't like him either. This is why I said before about Philadelphia fans hating Philadelphia more than anybody else. This is actually true of other teams too. But they don't admit it for some reason. Okay. Bubba Bryant says, most vulgar fans are the fair-weather fans who hopped on the bandwagons of Pittsburgh and Chicago. I sure respect the true longtime fans through all of those teams. Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. All right? Especially the ones who just come in and just, it's just cowardly to me, right? Like, I remember that. You guys want to hear a cool story? Back when the Flyers were horrendous, 2007. Worst season Flyers ever had. I remember I went to a New Jersey Devils game in New Jersey. I'll never forget this. And Flyers were really bad, just really bad that year. And Devils were not bad. They were kind of still around. Brodeur was still playing. And I remember they killed us. I enjoyed the game. It was a good hockey game. I wasn't expecting the Flyers to win. And it's like, that's just what it was. The Flyers weren't great. I was supporting my team. So in New Jersey, for those of you who don't know, this was back at the old Meadowlands Arena, okay, which is now called the Izod Center. So to get out of the arena to the parking lot, you have to go on this kind of sky bridge, walk across the street. You have to go over a major highway. I believe it's the Garden State Parkway. And then it might be Route 3. I'm sorry. It might be the not the Parkway. It might be the Turnpike. It doesn't matter. If you're from up there, you know what I'm talking about. All right, and then you have to come down and get to the parking lot. So I'm in the Sky Tunnel. I have my Flyers jersey on. I'm still wearing it, right? And I hear these fans behind me, and this little kid comes up to me, this little tiny kid. He goes, "Hey, the Flyers suck." I remember I turned to him and I go, "You're right. They do suck." And he looked at me, he had nothing to say. And I think it was one of his parents or somebody with him who's like, "Yeah, you guys suck. You ain't won a cup since 1975. 1975. I'm sorry, 76. He said 76. 1976. So I let it go for a minute. And then all of a sudden, the whole Sky Tunnel, and I have people with me that can confirm this, just so you know. So I'm not lying. The whole Sky Tunnel is going 1976. So I let this go on for about 10 seconds. And then, again, I was young at the time. I don't think I'd do this now that I have kids. But I let it go for 10 seconds. And I got on top of a trash can. Because this is how long the corridor was. They have trash cans. And I said, I swear to you I did this. I said, "Fans of New Jersey, I understand you don't like the Flyers. However, we did not win the cup in 1976. We won in 74, 75. Get your facts straight if you're going to heckle someone. Montreal won the cup in 1976. And I came down. Silence. Complete silence. I'm not going to get my butt kicked that night. But to be fair, that's really not what Devils fans are like, right? That's what Flyers fans are like. Anyway, so complete silence, and I went to my car, and we went home. Ray, I don't remember if Ray was at me. I know Ray Santiago, another friend of ours, was at that game with us. Ray, I don't know if you were there, but this definitely happened because I told everybody this story. Again, now that I'm looking back on that, in my mid to late 30s with children and a wife, I'm like, what did I do that for? And I think my dad's listening. I don't even know if I ever told him that story. But now that I'm saying the story, I could see he was very, at the time, like, why would you do that if you did? So, anyway, Devils fans don't make the top 10. Come at me, Devils fans. All right, let's keep going here. Jessica Kirshner. I don't get what people always refer to when the two-headed monster retire, we will suck again. We still have talent. We still have players. We are young and helping this current team win Stanley Cups. Okay, Jessica, that's a really good comment, okay, and a really good point. All right, and I'm going to comment on that because I think that's a super fair thing to say. Again, what she's referring to is when Crosby and Malkin move on, why do you think the Penguins are going to suck? Okay, now I don't think they're going to suck. Okay, that's not, and if I said that or insinuated that, that's not what I meant. What I think about Sidney Crosby specifically is you only get, well, apparently you guys break this mold, but you only typically get that type of player once in a franchise's history. You happen to have it twice. Okay, if you want to add Malkin to it, maybe 2.5. Okay, but that does not help the Penguins' case with this conversation. The fact you already had a greatest athlete of all time type player before, and then you get another one. Okay, not to mention a few more top 5 draft picks after Crosby. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say, and I'll actually use New Jersey as an example. Okay, I used to tell the New Jersey Devils fans, and I have no problem admitting this. Okay, back when I was in college, they were hot. They were a hot team. They were winning Stanley Cups. Brodeur was there, and he was in the prime of his career. And they would rip me as the Flyers. They just rip me. And they'd beat us, and it was really painful. In my youth, it wouldn't be as painful today. I'm kind of grown up a little bit. But I remember telling the Devils fans, and Ray will confirm this, that I got relentlessly butchered by New Jersey, New York fans at this time. I used to say this: Brodeur will not be there forever, and you will have dark times. And when you do, I will be there to tell everyone about it publicly on a podcast. That last part I probably didn't say. But, and again, look, I have a lot of respect in the New Jersey Devils organization. I've worked with the Devils organization. That organization's actually given me more than any other team in the league when it comes to opportunity and gifts. Okay, so I really have a hard time having any animosity towards the Devils. Okay, and they are a great franchise, and they run really well. Okay, but I wasn't trying to say to the Devils fans when I said this that, hey, you suck. I'm trying to say you only get a Martin Brodeur once. And it's going to be just really hard to maintain success without him. And that is proving to be true. Now, the Devils will draft well. They will get more players in, and again, at some point, they will probably rise to prominence again. But if you think that taking Sidney Crosby out of the lineup and Malkin is going to make that team anywhere near sustainable as they are, I'd say that would be very, very hard to do. Now, some teams can do it. If you have a strong enough team bond, a strong enough coach, it can be done. All right? There are teams where athletes have left, and look at the Toronto Raptors, right? Like, who saw that coming without Kawhi there? Okay? Can be done with really good coaching, okay? But it will be hard, okay? And all I'm trying to say is this. When those guys are gone and there's no star power, okay, when there's not a Sidney Crosby there, will the fans continue to show up? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to rip the organization. Let's keep going here. How long have we been going for? I don't even know. I have no concept of time here right now. Okay, Jessica, please feel free to comment on that if you felt I'm being unfair. I think that was a great question. I'm even going to like it. Okay. Caitlin Elizabeth, in my 3 years as a hockey fan, now this is a great point. I'm going to preface this. Caitlin's only been watching hockey for 3 years, so she would tell you I'm a brand new Flyers fan. I love the Flyers, but she always admits I've only been watching for a few years. I think that's tremendous that she's willing to do that. In my 3 years as a hockey fan, I've learned the hard way what it means to be a Flyers fan. I've watched 2017 mediocrity. That's an understatement. 2018 sheer disappointment. That's absolutely true. Outside gritty. And now this year, well, yeah, not once have I looked at my choice as a young adult to support a team that is so all over the place and decided to move on from the Flyers. When you can honestly say that you would choose your team if you the chance to decide in the worst of your team, would you? I would 100% always say yes. I think you meant to say, would you support the team if they're bad? So Caitlin's a unique Flyers fan. She has seen the team bad before it was good. In most of my life, the Flyers have been very good. It's only been short periods of time that the Flyers have struggled, right? This is someone who's seen the Flyers struggle more than they've succeeded in terms of wins, like, playoff team. When I was growing up, the Flyers, we had Lindros, we made the playoffs every single year. In fact, it was almost unfathomable to think about not making the playoffs, right? And I remember the first couple times we missed, I was like shocked. I remember being older, not in the playoffs, and thinking like, wow, this is a way different postseason without the Flyers in the postseason, right? She's never seen the Flyers in the postseason. Think about that. I don't think. Maybe in 17 you saw it, but that's my point. Is she says it? I'm a new fan. I would live and die for this fan base. She knows that right away. Okay, right away. Kyle Connell says, it hurt to see the Caps beat us in OT, but I was happy for them. Didn't destroy my living room. That's fair. That's because you've beaten the Caps so many times, Kyle. No, that's actually a really nice thing to say. Look, there's absolutely got to be a... And look, here's another thing. I was talking about what makes a great fan. If Penguins fans could not at least be respectful of the Caps when they won the Cup, missing the point. Missing the point, right? To be bested by an opponent that you have bested repeatedly, and to see them climb the mountain, you should feel good for that team. I'll tell you who does. Crosby, although he probably hates losing, I bet you he felt good for Ovechkin. I bet you he felt envious and wanted to win too. But he's a gentleman. I bet you he said that, good for him. All right? A lot of people don't remember the Chicago Blackhawks could not beat the Redhawks. The Chicago Blackhawks could not beat the Red Wings. Could not do it. And the year they did, won the Stanley Cup. Respect. Climb the mountain. I've seen a lot of teams go over the Flyers to win. A lot of teams, all right? I never once hated them for winning, all right? Let's keep going here. Jeff Dwyer, welcome aboard. Pens can't win a cup without Fleury. Well, Jeff, they did. Twice. So that's, sorry to shout you out there. You might have been the backup both times, but there it is. Kyle Connell says the truth hurts, but Lee is absolutely right. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you're willing to say that. I'm all about that. When someone's right, I like to shout that out too. Jeff Dwyer, I can't stab the Habs. That's for those of you who don't know, it's Montreal. As a New York Rangers fan, but the Habs should be on the list before the Pens. I agree with that. Jeff, we should discuss you because Jeff is the rarest of rare. He is a Carolina Hurricanes fan and a New York Rangers fan. Okay, we'll go into that in a minute and why that works. Okay. Andrew Williams, hey, we may be a small town in Arizona, but we are loud and proud. I agree with that. I think the Coyotes actually have some really good fans. Andrew, you would agree you're not a top 10 fan base, but you'd also agree that, as I said earlier in the episode, the fans of hockey are passionate. The fans of hockey are tremendous. If you take anything away from this episode, that's what I want you to take away. Hockey fans are awesome. Hockey fans are awesome. The top fan base is the hockey fan, not a team fans. I have always maintained this, and anyone who knows me knows I've been saying this as long as I've been involved in the game. I am a hockey fan first, and then a Flyers fan. All right? I love the game. I have a passion for this game. I love it. Literally have, outside of my family, dedicated my life to it. All right? I love this game. And then I love the Flyers. Then there's 30 other teams, and then there's the Penguins. All right, let's keep going here. All right. Florida's not leaving for a while due to snowbirds. Bubba Bryant's absolutely correct. So the Miami, Fort Lauderdale fan base for all the teams, it's if they're winning, if a team's winning, they fill the stadium. And this is not just the Panthers. This is the Marlins. This is the Miami Dolphins, right? And the Heat. Okay. But yeah, it's a travel destination area. So I understand that they always have a hard time in Southeast Florida filling teams with hardcore fans when they're not winning because it's a travel. But here's the thing. This is the problem I have now with that. Excuse me, I need a drink. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Las Vegas when a team's not winning. It's going to be interesting. Now, the Raiders probably aren't going to be a 16-0 team this year, but they'll fill the stadium because it's brand new. It's going to be interesting 10, 15 years from now because there are a lot of great people in Vegas. I visited Vegas multiple times. I've been to the Air Force Base in Vegas. It's just one of those things of like, we'll see what happens in 10, 15 years when maybe the teams aren't doing so well, if that comes to fruition. But I'll tell you what, having been to Vegas multiple times, and here's the thing, I've always missed the nights when I'm there. They're just not there that night. And obviously the football team wasn't there. I would love to go to a professional sports event when I'm in Vegas. It would just cap off my trip. All right, now, it doesn't help that I'm not a massive gambler. Well, that's a good thing, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's like when I go to Vegas, I'm not really going for the slot machines and the gambling so much. I'm usually there on business or for the experience, but I mean, that would cap my trip getting to go to a hockey game. In fact, now that I'm saying that, it really anywhere going to a hockey game, and now I miss hockey because we haven't seen it in a while. And I'm going to get off this before I get emotional, right? But Ray Carcillo's on here. I flew out to Los Angeles in 2013 during the Stanley Cup playoffs. We went to a Kings and Sharks game. That was one of the outside seeing my friend. That was like one of the top moments of that trip for me, and it was a great game, right? But that comes back to my love of the game. Let's keep going here. A lot of comments tonight. All right, Mark Pollard. How do I bribe a person to win a jersey? Talking about one of the hockey rewards jerseys. We'll get to that towards the end. Here's the thing. You can always buy one. You can always buy a jersey. I'm donating 100% of the profits to charity. If you want to see the jersey, go to hockeyrewards.com and check it out. It is we really took time designing this thing. We put all the names of first responders on the jersey and then put silhouettes of everything from firemen to fire people to police people to teachers to sanitation workers to the people that work in the stores. And we really tried to get everyone. And then right on the back, in the middle, is on the backbone is the family, right? Because we're all quarantined together. It's just we're all in this together. I'm really proud of this jersey. I really am. And that's all the more reason to give away all the money from it because it's really not about us right now. And again, I'll give another talk about hockey rewards at the end. But again, it's legit free. The only cost is you have to give us your name and email, obviously. But we have a thing. Our terms are really, really simple. In fact, we made them super transparent. If they're actually funny, if you get a chance to read our terms and conditions, like we go like, yes, we're going to do this, and yes, we're going to do that. So just check that out. If anything, just let me know your thoughts on it. hockeyrewards.com. All right, another PSA. Let's keep going here. Sam Geis. Replying to Jeffrey, hope that isn't true, but definitely needs some help in goal. Murray is on a slump, and Jari is still new, but I have faith something will turn around. Let me tell you guys something about goaltending real quick. How some of these teams, Pittsburgh's had 3 amazing goalies in 10 years. Flyers have had 1 in 30. 25. I don't want to discount Hextall. Unbelievable how many goalies go through Pittsburgh. It really is. But we got a goalie now, don't we? All right, Andrew Williams. We're just in the wrong spot in Arizona. When we were downtown Phoenix, we sold out every game. Absolutely true. So when they built, for those of you who don't know, when they built the arena in Arizona, in Phoenix, they built it on the other side. It's in Glendale. But to my information, and Andrew, please tell me if I'm wrong, but where most of the people live in Phoenix is on the other side of the city from where the arena is. So it's not a fun commute to get to the arena. This was a major oversight when they made this team, right? You need to be in a distance where people live. Like one of the things people love about Philadelphia, I mean this, there's a few things, is that all of our teams are in a sports complex and it's away from the city, but it's very easy to get to, right? So like if New Jersey or anywhere really in the area, it's very easy to get there and there's no competition. It's a highway to the stadium. The only traffic is when you get to the stadium, which is totally understandable. Ray Carcillo says, I totally forgot about the Bears. Super Bowl shuffle, man. How do you forget the Bears? Ray, you and I had a big fight one time during the Super Bowl where the Bears were in. I remember that. Not to rehash old fights. That's how close we are, though. We could talk about that. All right, so let's keep going here. Mark Pollard, I think I've seen something about the Avs might be interested in Murray. Well, the Pens are probably going to move one of their goalies, and we'll see. Avalanche have had a carousel of goalies recently. Let's keep going here. We don't talk about baseball. I'm sorry, Caitlin. I didn't mean to do that. Jeff Dwyer says, I think they should go after Henrik before Murray. Jeff, that's a horrendous sales tactic. Henrik Lundqvist is not leaving New York. Not going to happen. He will retire before he leaves New York, and that's not going to be a good trade at all. His career is coming to an end. That's where that's at. Kyle Connell, my thoughts. NWPA born, Northwest Pennsylvania born, it's for you that don't know, in 1983. Great year. And he was raised there. Pens fan since 1989. That's a great time to become a Pens fan. I can't stand the bandies. Go through what I went through in the 90s and early 2000s, and then you can say you're a true Pens fan. But that doesn't make any sense, Kyle, because the Penguins were really good up until about 2000. They were good from like 1990 till I think 2001 when Yager went to the Rangers. It might have been in 2000, and then they got bad. It was a 5-year period. That's the other thing. It was a 5-year period when they were bad, and the team almost went under. That's unfathomable. That's unbelievable. 5 years? Not 15 or 30 like other teams have had, or the Maple Leafs, which is literally like the lifespan of everyone. 5 years they almost went under. Unacceptable. Kyle, again, if I'm wrong, let me know. But they were not a bad team in the 90s. All right, they were not a bad team. You didn't win cups after 92, but you were not horrendous. We had that 5 overtime game against you guys. I remember it. It was a big deal. That was in 2000. Sorry, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like that kills me. Josh Roth, correct. No one was showing up. I could sit 5th row for games for $5. All right, is that Josh? Sorry, is that St. Louis or is that Pittsburgh? Right. And again, no one was showing up. I have a feeling you're talking about St. Louis. That might be a topic of conversation too then for St. Louis. Okay, because they were not bad for long. All right, nobody showed up. All right, let's keep going here. Ray reminded me that he remembers the argument that we had in a very colorful way. I believe that's what that says. Sam Geis, I am 34. I've been a fan since I can remember. Jágr is my favorite player of all time. Solid. I love Jágr too. He is my favorite player of all time too. Tom Barrasso is my favorite goalie for the Penguins. Tom Barrasso, one of the very few NHL players that started in the NHL after high school. Not sure a lot of you know that. And besides Flower all the time, I totally agree with your comments. Sam, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that you agree with me. It means a lot. I mean, it means a lot that we can come to common ground on this. All right. Andrew Williams. Okay, Lee, I got to ask you, what's your thoughts on Philly saying the Eagles chant at a Flyers game? This happened when I was at a Flyers-Coyotes game. Andrew, this happens at Flyers games. This happens at Sixers games. This happens at Phillies games. And this happens at Eagles games. All right? This team loves the Eagles. Now, here's what I will say to you. They were doing the Eagles chant at those games when the Eagles sucked too. I've heard this every year since I was there. We're all Eagles fans as Flyer fans. I don't know any Flyers fans that aren't Eagles fans. I really don't. Okay? I mean, I'm sure they exist. I'm saying I don't know any. Okay? So I have no problem with that because that's a city thing, right? That's a city thing to me, right? Like we have our 4 teams that are all in one spot. That makes much sense. I don't think that shows a lack of passion for the Flyers. I think that shows a unity at the Flyers game for the Eagles, right? This is a very, very passionate sports city. Okay, I could go on a tirade about how Philly's the greatest sports city ever. I just don't want to because I don't think that's fair. And I also think that like if you're not here, it's tough to understand. And I think you could say that about most cities. We are a very passionate fan base here, extremely. All right, and anybody who's lived here has always told me that. Where they come from far, they've never seen anything like this. That's what makes us unique. Okay, so I don't think that's a problem at all. That's not a slight at the Flyers. And again, feel free to disagree with me, but Josh Roth, despite not being a Blues fan, I would go to 20 games per year back in 2006, 2008 so I could watch my Avs cheap because I enjoyed watching the game. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Bubba Bryant says, by the way, Lee, I still wear my Wings alternate captain jersey even when he skated with other teams. Fedorov is still one of my favorite players of all time. The Red Wings of the 90s should be commended. Even at a Hall of Fame level for what they were able to do for the game and for players of Russia. That if you guys haven't seen Red Army, the movie, you really go check that out now. It's pretty unbelievable what that team was able to accomplish, and I can understand why people would be so dedicated to that team years later. Same reason I see Lindros jerseys or you see Gretzky jerseys in Edmonton or LA or New York. All right. Or you'll see, for Durko jerseys in St. Louis. That's the history part I was talking about, right? You still see Howe jerseys in Detroit. That's the history part I was saying. How many Barrasso jerseys do you see in Pittsburgh? Right? How many Trottier jerseys do you see in Pittsburgh? Or go back when they sucked in the 80s. How many of those jerseys do you see? I saw an Ed Van Impe jersey at a Flyers game one night. You don't know who that is. That's okay. That's my point. All right. Let's keep going here. Debbie McCann says, best toss on the ice is a hat. That's absolutely true. Unfortunately, we did the bracelets, Debbie. I know you're a Flyers fan. In Delaware, nonetheless. Hope you and your family are well. Ray Carcillo, to be fair, the Giants fans also threw ice during the Dan Reeves years. Man, I love this audience. We're like totally on the same wavelength. This is what I'm trying to say. No one's trying to win this argument, right? We're just talking. I love that. Giants fans, also an egregious bunch. There's no problem. I'm not saying this is a problem. It's one thing. New York fans think they're the only fan base in the world, but that's them. New Jersey Devils fans have a Napoleonic complex, but that's them. Flyers fans are assholes. That's us. That's who we are. We have an identity. Pittsburgh, what's your identity? Let me know that one. You got more people. Browns fans threw bottles in 2001, so other teams do throw stuff on the field. Dad, if you're listening, I've done it. I've got all the sports fans telling us the bad stuff they've done, Dad. I've done it. I just need to call ESPN. Okay, I really appreciate that, but I hope my father's listening to this because these are the things that people would never admit when I was growing up. I'm proud of this audience right now. Sam Geis, and I am surprised you got my last name right. It's amazing how many people pronounce it. How did they pronounce it? Sam Geis, that's an easy one. How? Tell me the wrong ways people pronounce it. I get Elias. It's Elias, Lee Elias. It's right. Where is it? There it is. I'm looking at there. Ray Carcel, it is Route 3. I was right. And that's Skybridge, man. It's still there at Xanadu or the American Dream, which is closed because of this. So for those of you who don't know, real quick, at the Meadowlands where Giant Stadium is, not Giant Stadium anymore, MetLife Stadium, hate this, and the Izod Center, they built this massive indoor place that has an indoor ski slope and a mall. They took 10 years to make it. It was open, and now it's closed. So that is the most New Jersey thing ever, by the way, just so you know. Jeff Dwyer, I remember you telling me this story a few times about the Flyers jersey game on our road trips to England. Yeah, that's how you know I'm not lying. By the way, these comments I'm reading are from 21 minutes ago. That's how many comments we've gotten. Ray says he was not there. That's okay. Kyle says it was a mic drop. Again, this is the story where I told the Devils fans that we won in 75, not 76. Ray, I can't read Ray Carcillo's thoughts on the Devils fans. All right, but I just liked it. Jeff says Caps fans are a bit above themselves too. Now, see, this is another one I don't agree with, Jeff, because Caps fans are super loyal to the Caps, all right, and they have been for a long time. That was another team that had suffered, okay? Caps fans have been really dedicated to that team. They love that team in Washington. It might look like there's a lot more of them now that they just won the Cup a few years ago, but they have been there for a long time. Again, it's a small market too. Like, a lot of people don't remember that. Like, DC is not huge, right? You just know of it because it's Washington, right? But it's not a massive fan base. I mean, not a massive city. And then when you think about it, the Capitals represent, Northern Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C., right? The DMV area. And their fans have been passionate as long as I've known them, right? What they didn't do is talk a lot of crap when they were losing. That's probably why it sounds like you didn't hear from them. But I know a lot of Caps fans that are super passionate. Ray, I'm not going to tell that story because I told it in another episode about Brodeur. Let's keep going here. I'm going to catch up here, man. I hope you're all still listening. It seems like I got a lot of people on tonight. I really appreciate this. I appreciate you. I really love doing these every Wednesday. So Jeff Dwyer is talking about how many goals I scored on him. There's a reason we don't see you anymore, Jeff. Sam Geis, one thing I just want to put out there. It just wasn't people not showing up to the game because they sucked during the dark years in the late 90s and early 2000s. Economic and layoffs in Pittsburgh at that time were hard for blue-collar workers, but to buy tickets to the game. Okay, that might be a fair point. See, that's the information we need to hear, okay? But here's what I'll say. During the recession, people still showed up to Flyers games, still showed up to Rangers game. Now, again, we could get into a very deep discussion about who recessions affect, which I don't want to do. It does affect everyone, just not equally, all right? But fans still showed up when it got hard, all right? So I can't really let you off the hook for that one, all right? Let's keep going here. It says the Steelers always won. This is Kyle Connell. The Steelers always won out when it came to the sports ticket dollar in Pittsburgh those days. That's true. Josh Roth wants everybody to know that he loves Lindros. We love him here too now. Official ambassador of the Flyers now, and he's also a Nordiques legend, having never played a game. Thank you, Josh Roth. Caitlin Elizabeth was at the first 17-18 playoff home game, so they did make the playoff game that first year. That atmosphere is amazing, and I can't wait to be hopefully have that again. I can tell you this, Caitlin, any playoff environment in the NHL is an unbelievable. There's just something different about playoff hockey. There's a tense. I mean, you get this in playoff sports, but it's different, right? Kyle Connell Kudos for getting my last name right as well, Lee. God, I hope I didn't get that one wrong. Bubba Bryant, Lee, do you like the playoff format now or the 80s, early 90s playoffs like Norris, Smythe, Adams, and Patrick divisions? Divisions were seeded 1 through 4 and 2 to 3, then division finals, then conference finals to go to the Stanley Cup finals. I missed that playoff. Bubba, yes, I actually agree with you. I don't want to say I don't like it. I'm not super fond of the current NHL alignment. That's what I'll say for that. I wish they would go back. I think one of the dumbest things they ever did was get rid of those divisions. The Norris, Smith, Adams, and Patrick were very unique to the sport. I agree with you. I think they should rethink that. I was surprised they didn't go back to that when they realigned. They'll have another chance when Seattle comes in the league, which they won't take the opportunity to do that. But, yeah, I'd like them to rethink how the playoffs are done. I don't really like the top 2 teams in the wild card. I just don't like it. It's not my style. All right. Let's keep going here. It's true. Lee is a hockey fan first, and I'm trying to be like that too. If hockey is on, I'm happy. That makes a lot of sense. To be fair to all of us, if hockey was on anywhere right now, we'd be happy. So you guys, I don't know if you guys know this. So they're playing Korean baseball on ESPN at middle of the night. I can't watch it, but if they played hockey from anywhere, I would watch it anywhere. Belarus, I don't care. Great Britain, if they were playing hockey right now, I'd be watching it. All right. That would be an interesting thing. We talked about this, how diehard baseballs must be watching that. Diehard baseball fans. I bet you diehard hockey fans would watch anything. Andrew Williams says, Lee, agree. I can sit down and watch any game of hockey any time of the day, and I love watching the Coyotes. Andrew, that's awesome. We don't get too many Coyotes fans on here, Andrew. I salute you. I really mean that because that team's had some great players come through there, and I think you got good days ahead. I really do. I think when you guys hired Chaka, I think it was a game changer. For those of you who don't know, they hired the youngest GM in the history of the NHL when he was hired, and I think he's gonna. I think that team's gonna be in a good position real soon. Let's keep going here. Debbie McCann, yes sir. Hockey is the best sport. My family thinks I'm nuts. None of them would even watch. They probably couldn't tell you what a shootout or a hat trick is. They have no idea what they're missing. They don't have any idea what they're missing. Okay, let's keep going here. Jessica Kirshner says, wrapping back around to what you were saying about how the Penguins were lucky to have drafted that once in a lifetime. I see my feed just dropped there from I was reading it. So the question is, wrapping back around to what you were saying about how the Penguins were lucky to have drafted that once in a lifetime player, Lemieux and Crosby. You don't hear that comparison much when it comes to other teams like the Oilers, Gretzky, and McDavid. So Gretzky and McDavid is absolutely the other example of this, although albeit they were 35 years apart. They are lucky, and the Oilers suffered for years. I mean, again, Jessica, I'm not sure if you're trying to compare yourselves to the Oilers, but I mean, like if you're trying to compare yourself with the Oilers sucked. They never were in danger of leaving Edmonton. Sucked. I mean, how many first round draft picks, first overall picks, second picks did you need? All right. But 2 generational talents, the fans never left. Now, Edmonton's also a super far north city, super secluded, and, the people live and die for that team. I would never compare, I'm saying this to everybody, I would never compare a North American franchise to a Canadian franchise. It would be like comparing an NFL team to a CFL team. It's not something you would do. All right? But, yeah, they're in the same boat, and they completely show what a fan base is. When that team was in the dark years, they kept showing up. They loved that team, and they were bad for a lot longer than 5 years. A lot longer. It's just been really this year they've been killing it. Mark Pollard out of Australia. It sucks being a hockey fan in Australia. Most stores and only stock the Bruins, Blackhawks, and Leaf stuff. Yeah, because those are probably the top 3 fan bases in the league. Yeah, look, I've lived internationally, as you know, Mark. Being a hockey fan outside of the United States or Canada can be tough. But stay strong. You got good people over here sending you stuff over there. Let's keep going here. Andrew Williams, we're on the other side of the valley, and most East Valley people needed 2 or 3 hour drives to get to the arena in Glendale. That is stupid. The 10 is horrible to drive on, and the only way for the East Valley fans to get there. So if you live in the East Valley, you're looking at a 2-hour drive to get to a Coyotes game. Why would you not stay home and watch it on TV? See, this doesn't mean they don't have great fans. That's what I'm saying. It's just bad decisions. All right. catching up here in terms of comments coming in. I was alluding to the move scares, but you make a good point there. Kyle, I forgot what I was talking about already. I was alluding to the move scares. Let's keep going here. Josh Roth, who said that wasn't St. Louis. Okay, so yeah, maybe St. Louis is another city. When the team got bad, they kind of ditched them. That's not good. That's not good. It's not okay. And they came running back when they got good. What I'd be interested to see is last year, what was the attendance before the All-Star break versus after the All-Star break? I would expect it went up. But did you go from no one showing up to everybody showing up? Let's keep going here. Let's keep going. A lot of people. Drew Lane was in here for a little bit. I don't know if he's still here. Drew, again, from the Penalty Box Foundation, tremendous human being. Just tremendous all around with what he does. We're super happy to be donating money to that organization in any form for what they do. Okay. Jeff Dwyer, here we go. Caitlin Elizabeth, do they pronounce it like geese? Because I get rice all the time. And she's asking Sam Geis if they say geese. That's probably what it is. Yeah. So like Caitlin's last name, hopefully you don't mind this, is not Rice, it's Reese, right? Rice, whatever. All right, now we're getting out of hockey here, but Sam Geis says goose, geese, jites. I said it right, Sam Geis. That's just how it looked like it should have been pronounced. Okay, let's keep going through. Arizona Cardinals fans threw bottles and stuff after the Cards-Bears Monday Night Football game in Dennis Green famous words. Again, I love that we're all sharing stories of how horrible our fan bases are. This is why this community is so awesome, all right? Because you won't hear this anywhere else. All right, let's keep going here. Bill Weissel, another great friend of mine. I flew to Chicago right before the 2010 Cup Finals. This should be good. I was all in Flyers gear, and apart from some weird looks, the Chicago fans were really good-natured. We joked and laughed and waited to get on the plane. Mad props to them. That's great to hear because it was one of the most painful ending in finals history for me. Yeah, Chicago fans really respect that. I know a Chicago fan, Ultimate Hockey Fan Cave out in Victoria, BC, Canada. Ken Shaw, who runs that place. He cried when he saw the United Center the first time. Huge Blackhawks fan. All right, Bubba Bryant, he's got some stories to tell. Lee, 2 quick hockey stories. I met Herb Brooks. Oh, that's awesome. And we talked golf and only a moment of hockey, which I asked what the win in the USSR game felt like. Also drank beers with my childhood hockey hero, Neil Broughton, another USA hockey player from that year. About 14 years ago, people asked if that was Neil, and I said no. One thing I'll never get to do in this game is meet Herb Brooks. That's something I've always wanted to do. As you may know, if you listen to the show regularly, massive respect for the USA hockey team in 1980. I've read several books about them. I've done lots of things about them. I love that team. Let's keep going here. So I'm just reading some of these comments as I go. Sorry for those of you listening. I'd rather watch the Red Wings and the Senators play over the Cardinals in the playoffs. It's Josh Roth. That's a true hockey fan right there from St. Louis. Let's go. Kyle, you were talking about your 90s, 2000 comment from earlier. Okay, just making sure. All right, catching up here. And last comment I have, Sam Geis, I still believe the Pirates will win the World Series within the next 5 years. What? Ray, I'm going to let you take that one. We have a Pittsburgh Pirates fan that says they're going to win the World Series in the next 5 years. And I hope that you reference this broadcast when they don't, or they do. That's incredible to me. All right. Let's get going here. We got coming up on an hour plus here, hour and 13 minutes. I just found the clock. Wow, that went fast. So listen, here's what I want to say real quick. This episode was not meant to be ripping the Pittsburgh Penguins fans. This episode was meant to talk about why hockey fans are great, why Forbes has no idea what they're talking about. Actually, look, they got 8 out of 10 right. I can't kill them for that. And to talk about that every hockey fan, whether you're new, whether you're old, whether you've been doing this your whole life for a short amount of time, is an awesome hockey fan, okay? We cannot get lost on how many fans, how little fans. Hockey fans are hockey fans. We don't have to infight here, okay? But I am not going to let Forbes magazine, this is the thing that bothered me. I thought that was a poor representation of hockey in that article. I think it just shows they didn't do the research. I think it shows naturally, like most of those non-hockey type, things that don't focus on hockey, they don't know what they're talking about. We had this problem with ESPN for years, decades. They had no idea, no clue what they were talking about. And it was obvious. It was insulting to be a hockey fan and watch ESPN back in the day. The beauty of today is we have niche networking. We don't have to worry about it. We can watch NHL Network. We can go online. We can get our hockey fix all the time. I don't have to worry about ESPN. And they can do great stuff like The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. They can do that, which is awesome. Okay, I don't have to worry about them doing hockey because I have my own stuff now. With that said, the NHL could do better, but that's a topic for another quick shift or puck drop. Okay, but the hockey fan is passion, right? The hockey fan is the sport. Okay, so I just thought that was a very poor representation of the game. I thought it was incredibly insulting to Canada. Incredibly insulting. All right. The only American teams that should have been in the top 10, if you exclude Canada, is probably Boston. Okay? Probably the Bruins. I'm really having to think here. I'm thinking long term with all my criteria. Again, the criteria are history, loyalty, passion, integrity. Okay? The Boston Bruins, I think the New York Rangers make that list. All right. Probably Chicago for me and Detroit. I mean, I'm pretty much naming the original 6 right now. All right. I want to say Philadelphia, but I won't because I think it'll be biased if I do. But I think you can make a good argument for that. All right. I did. I just named all the original 6 U.S. teams. All right. Last couple comments here. Here we go. It says, I'm not going to go on the Pirates thing. Just Ray doesn't agree with you. All right, here we go. Bubba Bryant, even if I hate your team, I'm happy to know you're a hockey fan, especially college hockey. Lots of Gopher haters. Yeah, I didn't even get into college hockey, but like North Dakota could be on the list of the top 10 franchises. That's how big hockey is there. Minnesota, Boston. All right. Let's keep going with that. Last note before we go, a couple things. One, Hockey Rewards. Let's see, hockeyrewards.com. Please visit hockeyrewards.com. Please come down. I'm looking that up. Again, we are doing free giveaways, a daily giveaway every day. We've been doing this for 60 days. And we're also doing weekly or bi-weekly giveaways with bigger prizes. All you need to do is sign up. As you know, I'm all about integrity and trust. You have my word. We'll never abuse the information, but this is how we have to do things in 2020, and we want to make this worth your while, okay? So check it out if you haven't already, hockeyrewards.com. Check out that Hockey Never Stops jersey, please, and let me know your thoughts. If you haven't seen it, it is awesome, okay? Here's another note. This is the final note. You'll like this. I have challenged my friend, my best friend, Ray Carcillo. I have challenged him. He has a nice Twitch following. For those who don't know Twitch, you'll figure it out. He has been playing the Yankees season in Twitch, and I've challenged him. I said, I want you to sim the NHL season up to the date it stopped and take over your New York Rangers and see if you can bring them to the Cup final. So what he does, and he had to sim this 5 times to get it there, he's got his Rangers pretty much to where they were in terms of when the season stopped. He's about a point out of the playoffs right now. Flyers, for some reason, are at the bottom of the league, but that's just Ray, I think. No, Ray didn't do that on purpose, but it's a nice sweet spot for him. So Ray, after this broadcast, is going to be going live on Twitch, on his Twitch channel, at Ray Carcillo. Okay, there's a link in the chat here 1 minute ago. All right, and he's going to play the rest of the Rangers season, not all at once, just a game probably every other night or nightly. All right, and he's going to see if he can get the Rangers, A, in the playoffs, B, to the final and win the final as the New York Rangers. And it is fun. If you guys don't see Ray, he calls the game play-by-play as he plays. It's worth watching. And if you like baseball, you should definitely watch him because that's been fun too. He's been making people rage quit. Okay, so Ray, it's on you to continue the Rangers season and see if you can get in the playoffs. All right. Ray has also said that he will not be starting Lundqvist for the rest of the season. Ray, you going Sherskin? Who are you going to start before we go? I'll let you get the last word on that. So make sure you check that out, please, after this. Support him on Twitch because he is you will know his name one day. I'm telling you that, okay? If you don't already know it, you will know Ray. He is a talent. All right? Let's keep going here. Everybody's saying thank you. Thank all of you. I always say this at the end of the episode. You have given me a platform to get away from everything that's going on, and it gets increasingly frustrating, so I cannot thank you all enough for giving me that platform. It means a lot to me that I have the ability to do this, okay? Thank you all for being here. That means more to me than you could possibly know. All right, let's go. First game, Rangers Coyotes. Ray says the Tsar Igor is going to be in net tonight for the New York Rangers. So if you get off here, check over there on Twitch. Ray, you might as well load up right now. Once again, I want to thank all you for coming on here. You are the best hockey community in the world. I really enjoy the time here. And feel free to comment, feel free to message me, or send something on We Live Hockey, Elimination Cafe, Hockey Wraparound, Hockey Rewards. So many different channels we broadcast on. And enjoy your night. All right, everybody. This is Lee Elias signing off. We'll see you next Wednesday on Puck Drop.